Oh, what have you done? You've just spilt your drink everywhere.
No, that's just the condensation.
Oh, jeez. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Tuesday night video. Glenn and Ben here from the Good Movie Monday podcast, and this is the video where we react to movies that we have seen in the last week. We went,
And by react, we mean review, really.
that's right.
We don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
We don't get that many comments.
But
So when we do, we really lay into them.
We take it seriously.
We take it seriously, yeah.
Hey Ben, we had one comment. Ooh. So,
It's all our dreams come true.
so we got to the cinemas separately this week. You went to a screening without me, and I went to a screening without you.
Yeah, you said I don't work on weekends, so you wouldn't come to Railway Children, and I said I don't want to go into the city, so you went to see Ticket to Paradise.
Yeah, let's begin with the Railway Children Return is what it's called, or is it the Return of the Railway Children?
Yeah, that's a good question, Glenn.
I think I had it right first time.
I think you had it right the first time. And it is. They've kind of, I think, they've forgotten about. There's a middle film that they made in 2000. The original. Look, Railway Children is based on a famous children's book from the 30s, I believe, or.
I think you're right.
And then there's a BBC serial, there's radio plays, there's all sorts of stuff. But then in 1970, they made the film with Jenny Ogata playing the oldest daughter.
Which is what most people's minds go to when you talk about Railway Children.
Yeah,
That's
Jenny Ogata.
Yeah.
And so in this one, and then in 2000, I think they remade it. It's just the
they
Railway
did.
Children. It's
And
a remake.
there's an animated one that's quite good.
But I think Jenny Ogata is in the remake as well. But I think
Okay.
she must either play the mum or
Yeah.
something like
So
that. She's not playing the same character.
They're selling this one as a direct sequel.
But this one is a direct sequel. She is playing Bobby, whatever
Same
I can't remember
character.
the last name is. But she's playing the same character.
Yep.
But this time she's the grandmother. But it's a completely different family. So the first one is set. It's pre-World War One, I believe, the first one, or maybe it's after World War One. But it has the reason they've come to the country in the original one is because one night people come and take their father away, and all of a sudden they have no money, so they move to the country where it's much less expensive to live, and they kind of spend 3 months there until all of their father's issues are solved, and he comes and gets them, and they move back to their life of luxury. In this one, it's set around the same time as Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Yeah. That's the movie that always comes to mind when I think about it.
Yeah, so it's during the last couple of months of World War II, so 1944,
Okay.
where the Germans had kind of stepped up their bombing of England.
Yep.
And so a lot of people sent their kids to live in the country. And this is 3 children, 2 sisters and a brother, and no one really wants to take them because there's 3 of them, and
Sure.
they usually just want 1 or 2 kids. So they end up staying with Jenny Ogata's family, who kind of insists. Her daughter is the principal of the school in the town,
Okay.
and they take them in. It's their kind of adventures, and they deal with. There's all sorts of kind of racism stuff going on, and class issues as kind of the backdrop. But it really is just 3 kids having adventures in the countryside.
I was going to say, it's quite complex and detailed for a kids movie. Like, there's a lot for kids to get their head around. I guess most kids, like us when we were kids, we didn't comprehend a lot of movies until we were older.
I would say it's actually like a return, because now I feel like they dumb down the movies as if kids can't.
They certainly have
comprehend
done
this
that
stuff.
for a long time.
Whereas this is not like that. It's
Good.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think there were a couple of kids in the audience who were asking questions about, because they had no frame of reference as to World War II and a lot of
This is good that they're asking the
stuff.
questions.
And so they were kind of sitting behind me, kind of like asking their.
See, that wouldn't
parents
bother
about
me. Like, kids talking bothers me, but if they're asking the right questions, it doesn't.
Yeah, and there was actually a woman in the row behind me to the left who broke down
Wow.
and I was like, I wonder if she's because when the scene where the mum basically has to send the kids off, and she has to stay behind in London, and this woman broke down.
Wow.
Like, totally.
Well, she might have a
sobbing.
personal connection to
Yeah,
something.
that's. I thought. It is like it's a kind of like a. You're like.
Yeah,
I'm
totally.
not crying. You're crying.
Yeah, totally.
Kind of moment, but she totally let it go.
Yeah, and most kids that go into this one, because it is being pitched as a family film,
Yep.
probably haven't seen the original. Like, so is it an easy film to get into without knowledge of the first one.
Yeah, they don't really, other than the fact that Jenny Agutter is the kid who does, and
Yeah.
she does at one point mention that when I
Yeah.
was a child, I
Yeah.
came here and stuff. There is
So how does this
absolutely no-
how does this hold up against say Return to the Secret Garden?
Oh,
Do you remember that Hallmark made a sequel to the
yeah,
zoetrope one?
which I've never seen it.
Yeah.
So I can't say I can't say how it holds up, but I can say I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it's definitely worth the time checking it out. I mean, I don't have kids.
Yeah.
I didn't go with kids.
I go to kids
I was
movies
that
all the
creep.
time.
I was a creepy old man by myself there. I loved it.
My kids grew out of kids movies, but I still kept going to them.
Yeah.
It also reminds me of War of the Buttons. It's that kind of
Yeah.
kind of story. So I went and saw Ticket to Paradise with George Clooney and
I'm very curious
and Julia Roberts and
about this film.
fucking awful. This is, and I was thinking of you the whole time. And look, I'll admit there were moments I enjoyed,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it was really contrived and typical. And like, imagine you would probably enjoy it because it's very Hallmarky. Like it felt like a Hallmark production,
Right.
but at the same time, you've got somebody like George Clooney, and
Like 6 days,
Julia
7
Roberts
nights. Yeah.
in this movie that feels like a Hallmark movie, and you kind of feel like they're really, they're in it for the holiday. They're in it for the trip to Australia more than anything. It was filmed when the pandemic was on. Australia was a very enticing place to be, Queensland wise.
Unless you're Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
So you're out here catching the old COVID.
Yeah. Just such an insipid and
Look,
shallow and hollow piece of fluff that it's pratfall comedy too. Like it's like George Clooney being a bumbling kind of idiot
Yeah.
and Julia
Yeah.
Roberts was like, she lit the screen up. And that's the thing. Both of them have this smile that when they do smile, they can really light the screen up, and they do, and it's infectious. But this rapport they've got where they hate each other because they've been divorced for 20 years and you know exactly where it's going to go.
Yeah.
It's by the numbers.
So that's what I was kind of worried about. Like, I have to say this. Like, I genuinely enjoy George Clooney in movies.
Me too.
Unless they're comedies. For them, and by comedies, I mean broad comedies, not
Yeah.
so much like the kind of more specific ones. But I did not like Intolerable Cruelty.
No, hated it.
I didn't like Tomorrowland.
I loved it.
I didn't like what's the other one? The one where he loses his wife set in Hawaii or whatever it is.
Oh, like Aloha, not Aloha. The
Yeah, the other one,
Descendants.
Descendants.
Yeah.
I didn't really like that.
Yeah.
I didn't like the other Coen Brothers one he did, the movie one.
The Oh Brother We're Out There.
No, I love that one.
Yeah. Oh,
No.
the Hail Caesar.
Hail Caesar.
Yeah.
I didn't really enjoy.
I
you
get your
know,
point. I get your point.
He kind
yeah.
of can be very hit and miss with that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
well, I think he can do comedy well. He can be charming. But yeah, this
No, he definitely can
this
be.
particular brand of comedy isn't becoming like.
Yeah.
I feel like neither of them were invested in this one. Let's just
No.
put it that way.
It's no Charlie Wilson's War.
And I get wondering too about how this will float with the Balinese culture and people like. It hasn't come up against criticism, but it feels very caricatured to me. Like, because it's set in
Oh,
Bali,
really?
daughter's run away and gotten married prematurely. She met a guy on a holiday. She sent a message back to her parents saying, "I'm getting married," so they've come to Bali to prevent it from happening.
Right.
And then it's a clash of cultures and all this kind of stuff. But I'm feeling like
Is the guy Balinese?
yeah,
Right.
yeah, and the family's Balinese. It's a big family, and they play into the culture stuff in a very comical way, and I just sort of. It feels a bit off to me, and I don't know. It might be completely legitimate.
See,
And
like, I also don't like movies like Meet the Parents.
yeah, it's like that. It's that kind
And
of thing. But
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
afraid of that.
yeah, look, I didn't like it at all. The only moments I really enjoyed were when both Clooney and Roberts were drunk playing beer pong, and it's a good 15-minute sequence of them being teenagers again, and that was quite fun
Yeah.
to watch. But otherwise, piece of shit. Don't recommend it. Not even streaming. So there we go. You won. I didn't.
Yeah, right. Sometimes you got to work on the weekends, mate.